I would say the starting point for what we're trying to do is tell a story about a person that will reveal the person and, touch how golf intersects with that person's life. Golf has a tremendous capacity to create characters in the game.
And then I started noticing it when we'd go out. To be honest, I didn't love it. I saw both sides of it, the public side.
And what we hope to do in this series is find some of golf's great original thinkers, explore their lives for the benefit of our audience.
At times he can be a moron. At other times he's absolutely brilliant. He's so good with people who are odd just to talk to him. He makes them feel relaxed and important. I've always loved that about him.
We were so lucky to get David Feherty as our first guest because his life in golf is just so deeply compelling.
Shit.
Truly an original. You could not map out David Feherty's life. And Feherty's path is based on athletic skill and wit and quick thinking. So it's such an unlikely thing that there we are showing up, and the second he sat down in the car, we could see that he was in a serious contemplative mood. And he just told us, he put his 92-year-old mother in, to use the words he used, palliative care, what we think of as hospice. It was really interesting on the most basic human level. Were you a verbal kid, I imagine?
Yes.
And clearly intelligent, but struggling in classes you didn't like.
They made fun of me, and
how did your mom handle that how did she handle that?
She was stoic. My father was much more emotional. My mom, if we fell down and cut ourselves, she'd rub a piece of dirt in it. So walk it off. And she never really got involved with that kind of thing. That was just something that I had to deal with. And my father was unaware of it.
So one thing you pick up on reading John Feinstein's book about Feherty is that he had undiagnosed ADD as a kid. So you can imagine for this David Feherty, even with all his various gifts, he was always sort of a misfit. And you can see that throughout his life. And that's been a great gift to him and a great challenge as well.
The nicer teachers would write, David, could do better if he tries harder.
Right.
That kind of thing. Meanwhile, I'm trying as hard as I can. And I ended up making fun of myself.
Make a U-turn.
Because I was better at it than they were. And that was my self-defense.
In 2 miles, take exit 42A to merge onto US 95 north toward Reno.
Where the fuck are we going?
In half a mile, turn left onto Westwood Drive.
Are we in Reno yet? I know we were heading in that direction. Yeah.
Something like that, but just kind of explain that situation, kind of give some context around him when he's at the clubhouse. Just kind of talk about that for a bit after this truck passes.
Something called
psychic readings. Oh, maybe we can get a psychic reading as well.
When I first, quote, met Feherty and saw him in action.
This is very hopeful, Bamberger.
Maybe.
Yeah, this could be the cure to all my ills.
If the shop is open, that would be a positive. Northern Ireland, there were Catholics from the Republic of Ireland, all on the European tour at the time, and it was often a topic of conversation. It just seemed like a fit.
Fortunately, I always travel with at least $600 in cash.
What is your interest in having a psychic reading?
It's never really occurred to me. Yeah. Where are the books?
For you and for David.
It was really odd and interesting to hear Feherty talk about his move from CBS to NBC and then to LIV Golf. A man who was happy to be off on the.
This is.
So maybe
These represent. I don't know if you've ever seen ancient astronauts. you know, that our ancient aliens.
Yes,
Yeah, you know, the winged gods and all the rest. That's, I mean, I'm a huge believer in that. You know, I do not think we were the first people here, you know.
Pyramids are fascinating too. Pyramids are fascinating.
Oh, yeah, like we did that, yeah. Yeah, Easter Island. Yeah, those things, they weigh 60 tons. You know, how the hell did they get there? Yeah, we did that. No, we had somebody else involved, that's for sure. The book that did most for me was The Way of the Peaceful Warrior, Dan Millman.
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Dan Millman was an Olympic, I want to say it was trampoline, which is a ridiculous Olympic pursuit. But he, the Way of the Peaceful Warrior was golf in the kingdom, the inner game of golf. You know, it was all that kind of thing, that Eastern philosophy. I must read it again. Sports psychologists are all the same. You know, they're basically parasites. You know, they tell people the same thing. You stay in the present. That's what you do. You concentrate on what you're doing here and now.
Yeah.
You know, and there are certain tricks, you know, where you can fool yourself into actually doing it. You know, but that's all sports psychology is. My old teacher, Fred Daly, when I became assistant pro at, Fred won the Open in '47.
That's amazing.
And yeah, and it is amazing that he won it because he was a drunk. And he had I'll tell you a great story about Fred, where I got drawn with him, and he was kind of a ceremonial presence in the Irish Open. The first Irish Open I played in was '76 at Portmarnock, and I got drawn with Fred, who was kind of a throwaway at this stage. Whatever, we get to the 6th hole of par 5, and he's hit it in a bunker just short of the green, big, deep, cavernous bunker, you know, and I'm waiting on the green, you know, for him to play, and he plays this kind of average shot out, and he climbs out of the bunker, you know, and he knocks the sand off his shoes. He says, you know, he says, I play golf just as well as I ever did, just a bit smaller. He says, but I can't get out of bunkers the way I used to. I said, well, Mr. Daly, you know, have you thought about trying one of these new, like, really lofted sand wedges? He says, no. He says, I can get the ball out. I can't get out of bunkers. And it cracked me up for the rest of the round, you know. He was a great character. He really was.
You know, it's interesting you say about Fred Daly, John Daly, yourself, and, you know, many other greats of the years. The game is awash in alcohol, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, when I played, it was, you know, you practiced hard, you know, you worked hard, you know, you couldn't get to where we were without, you know, doing the work. But, boy, we did the play as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really did. I wouldn't change it for a minute.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything different if I were to go back, you know, because I wouldn't end up right here. Yeah. That's the thing, and man, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Yeah.
That is only going to be
Yeah.
for...
You know, we grew up Protestant. We had a Roman Catholic family on the other side of the wall, you know, and did you see Belfast, Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah.
That was my childhood right there, you know. My parents had exactly the same attitude as, you know, it doesn't matter what people believe, you know, they're welcome.
For those who don't know, the Troubles referred to a long, bloody period in Irish history of Protestants and Catholics fighting, but there really is absolutely nothing charming or glorious or anything about it. It's religious warfare, as we've seen through the ages.
We didn't see much violence or unrest in Bangor. I mean, there was the occasional bomb and, you know, that kind of thing. It sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, you know, my parents were they weren't particularly religious. We did, I mean, I went to church every every Sunday and choir practice every Wednesday, and you know, things in between. We'd sing at weddings and stuff like that, you know, but it was never, my father always said, you know, what you earn and what you believe in are your own business, you know, and you know, I kind of carried that with me too, you know, because I'm not religious. I'm not sure that I'm courageous enough to be an atheist, but I'm certainly agnostic. You know, the time that I was in Belfast at Balmoral, I was 2 years there while I was getting onto the European tour. The clubhouse was blown up twice. You know, and it was just, it was part of everyday life. I look back on it, you know, we were in a war zone.
Yeah.
And it just, but the terrorism back then had a certain, that's the wrong way to put it. I can't think of the right way to put it. You know, they were kind of gentlemen about it.
Yeah.
You know, they would
ahead of time.
They would call you up and say, "Hey, there's a bomb in your clubhouse. Get the fuck out." You know, so we got the fuck out. But they still blew the clubhouse up.
You're right. Almost everybody who works in TV has a path. So how did it come to be that he left NBC Sports to go to LIV Golf? I was really curious to learn more. As developed as you are, you've spent a lot of time in therapy, you have a psychiatrist, you think about a lot of different things. You've made a lot of money, I presume. Why would money be a motivator? So yeah, you're really truly...
Well,
okay.
I mean, yeah, money was, you know, one of the main motivators, but it was also the opportunity to be a lead analyst. You know, I mean, that meant a great deal to me because, you know, I spent 20 years on the ground. You know, I spent, you know, years in the booth, you know, in satellite towers and all the rest. But the opportunity, you know, to sit at 18 and do, you know, what a Paul Azinger or a Nick Faldo or to have that role, that meant a great deal to me. You know, it meant a great deal that someone would think highly enough of me that I were able to do that. You know, Greg, you know, called me and said, you know, we want you to be our main guy. You know, that was, that meant a lot to me. It really did. You know, I mean, yeah, the money was one thing, but this was another side of it, yeah.
How's it working out for you?
It's been fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm nervous. I do a stand-up show around the country, you know, like a 2-hour one-man show. And I'm terrified every time I go on stage, but I got to remind myself, you know, that I want the responsibility, you know, that I want that.
Yeah.
I need to be in that place where I know I'm going to be uncomfortable, and that's the same every time I walk into the, you know, the studio at 18. You know, I feel that same kind of hollowness, you know, where I think today could be the day I fuck up, you know, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. Because I know you've said that about yourself in your own career. That opened, that Nick Price one when you went crazy at the end. But you were there for about 70 holes, 68 holes.
Yeah, there was always a point, you know, I mean, I had a chance at 91 of the PGA Championship, you know, the one that John Daly won. I finished 5th or 6th or something there. And I finished 4th at Turnberry and 6th at Troon. There was always a pivotal moment, you know, in that back 9 or somewhere on the golf course, you know, where I thought, you know, if I make this or if I do this, I could win this thing. And I never did that thing, you know. Right. I never did that thing.
Right.
I at that particular point, you know, I didn't want the responsibility that came with making that putt or hitting that shot.
Right.
You know, and it's only looking backwards at my career that I realized that.
Right. David Feherty could flat out play golf, so people, you know, under the age of 35 are going to have no concept to him as a player. But having seen it up close, he had all the shots, he had length, he had a stylish swing. Now his TV career is so overshadowed his playing career, but he was an elite player. How do you compare the electricity of the club in hand versus the microphone? Are they similar for you? Are they different? They're both tools of performance.
Yeah, they're similar in that you can make a fool of yourself really easily. But it was easier to be a hero with the club. You know, yeah, it was easier to be the champion or to be the hero, or you know, the microphone is one of those things. People remember what you said. People come up to me and say, you know, can't remember, or I remember the time that you said this. I don't remember it, you know, but when they tell me what it was, well, yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah. Oh, there are books. Truth, A Brief History of Total Bullshit.
I've actually heard of this book, which is quite amazing. If there's any book you could...
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in this because post-truth world and a golden age of truth-telling. I'm getting this.
The Feherty show on Golf Channel was like nothing else that Golf Channel had. It was truly original programming. Feherty had this ability to keep everything on a light level, even when he was going to something really deep. But because he's fundamentally such a kind person, his interview subjects were right there with him, and it was really a special show. I was surprised to learn that he did 160 of them. That's a lot of work. I was interested to hear, I didn't realize how many shows you had done of Feherty. I think 150, I think John wrote.
Yeah, 160.
160. Yeah. And, but never got Tiger.
Yeah.
Is that frustrating for you, or?
I never asked him.
Okay.
I never asked him
Did
because...
you often make the asks yourself?
Oh, yes. Yeah, quite frequently. Certainly if it was a player. But I never felt it was the right time to do the interview that I wanted to do with him. I didn't want the ESPN or the Oprah thing, or the, you know, an apology for this, or you know, an excuse for that, or the sort of thing. You know, the interviews that I did, you know, it would have been really hard, I think, for him. Now, you know, I think would probably be a good time.
Yeah.
You know, for him, be much more retrospective and, you know, less defensive, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, if he were to do it now, if I know him the way I think I know him.
Yeah. So what are examples of where, oh, because I did the show, or anything else for that matter, I got to see, let's say, Arnold in a way others did not. I had an insight into Arnold.
Yeah, I played with Arnold 3 times in my career. I mean, I was lucky. People forget how long I played, you know, how early I started.
80s or late 70s,
you know,
probably.
yeah. And I remember the first time that I met him. I remember shaking hands with him, and he was just one of those people. I've only felt it in less than a handful of people in my life. You know, the same kind of warmth or electricity or whatever. I shook hands with Nelson Mandela. I shook hands with Bill Clinton, with Arnold, with Bill Russell. Just people, you know, you're in the presence of greatness the minute you get within their aura. You know, I can feel the hair standing up on my arms now, just thinking about, you know, Arnold. He was so special, and that was my one regret, you know, for the show, was I never had him on.
Really?
Yeah, that was he was the person, and you know, he was past. He was almost past being Arnold by the time that we got around to thinking about it, and there was the relationship with the Golf Channel. It wasn't great either, you know.
His own relationship with Golf Channel wasn't great by that point.
Yeah.
I did not realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, Arnold was my one great regret, you know, with that show. It was the person that I didn't get to, because I adored him.
Yeah.
And you know, I left it too long to ask him.
Yeah.
You know, because I was afraid that my, you know, I don't want to come across as somebody who worships their subject.
Yeah.
You know, that's a mistake for an interviewer, and I would have found that very difficult to do with Arnold.
Yeah.
You know, I adored him so much.
Yeah. Did you ever hear Keith Richards say that having a guitar in his hand is like trying to hold an electric eel?
Yeah, yeah. Keith Richards once told me to...
Now hold it. That's a great start to any sentence.
Right, yeah. I was at, do you remember the comedy duo Peter Cook and Dudley Moore?
Yes.
Well, Cookie was a great friend of
Really?
Lawrence
Oh.
Levy.
Yes, the
Now,
photographer.
you remember Lawrence
Sure.
Levy, the photographer? Peter Cook lived in the same mews as Lawrence did in London and Hampstead. And we were invited, along with Lawrence, you know, to this party at Cookie's house. And several of the Rolling Stones were there. There was Ron Wood, and Jagger wasn't there, but Keith Richards was there. And I had never asked anybody for an autograph in my life. But, you know, Keith Richards was one of my heroes for a couple of reasons, you know, I mean, the musician that he was, and the fact that he was still alive, you know, despite what he'd done to himself. You know, I thought this man is just a god. And I'm around the corner from where he is talking with Ron Wood and a couple of girls, you know, that sort of thing. And I've torn the pad off the telephone pad, and I've got the pen, and I'm about trying to pluck up courage to go around the corner when all of a sudden something bounces on the floor in front of me. It's brown and round, about the size of a golf ball. So I bent down and I picked it up, and it's a ball of hash. Like this. So I'm holding it, and right at that moment, on his hands and knees, Keith Richards comes around the corner like this. You know, and I looked at him and I said, "Can I help you?" And he looked at me and he said, "Fuck off." So I did, with the ball of hash, and it lasted me about 6 weeks. Yeah. So that was my one claim to fame with Keith Richards. He told me to fuck off in Hampstead. Yeah. 7 metals Tibetan singing bowl. Okay, right. Used for frequency heating. Frequency heating? Oh, I love that chair. High Priestess altar chair. Please do not sit. Okay, fair enough.
If you bring it home, do you think you can sit in the chair, or is it just like...
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe it's just one of the, yeah. My gran had furniture like that. You know, no, you don't be sitting there. You know, the Pope might show up tomorrow. Yeah. Celtic lore and spellcraft. Anu Earth magic spell. There's an occult flavor. Here, where'd he go? So I've been thinking about writing again, yeah. I enjoyed, you know, I wrote the back page for Golf Magazine for 15 years, and I enjoyed having done it. I really didn't enjoy the process of doing it. I'm sure you're familiar, you know, with that.
Yeah.
It's like going to the gym or running or whatever. Yeah, it was nice that I did that. I think I could write again, you know, given the, it's always, I always have to have my back to the wall for anything to happen. Not so much now, but, you know, when I retire, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know, I may.
That's a theme in Feinstein's book.
Yeah.
Is that you need to be occupied.
Yeah, I do. I you know, this last 3 months, the off season is just, it's not good for me. It's not good at all. But spare time is the addict's worst enemy. You know. Burnout at the hands of diet, self-help, and hustle culture. Tired as fuck.
It's good.
Yeah. Shit. Dreams that can save your life. There's some interesting stuff here.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, this one's been underlined, and
I have no idea if this is true, what I'm going to say, but I think maybe Gary McCord wrote An Idiot's Guide to Golf.
he did, yes, and no one more qualified, I can assure you. Yeah. He did, yeah. Or was it Golf for Dummies?
Oh, maybe that's it.
It was one or the other.
Same idea.
Yeah, similar sort of thing.
Is the Super Bowl meaningful to you at all?
You know, I wrote a piece for my sort of bit about football, basically trashing it. You know, it's a great game, but I can't take the celebration. I can't fucking take it. It makes me want to shoot the fucking TV. You know, you got fucking 8 guys river dancing their way through the fucking end zone to the point that one needs fucking oxygen, you know? Christ. Act like you did it once before. It's, you know, it's the behavior that we'd find repulsive in our children.
Yeah.
You know, that we're watching them.
It's everything in modern life. Me. Look at me, look at me.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm in a lane where there's nothing but parked cars. That might.
Well,
David, I want you to
my
know
room is
that
only half a mile from here.
The driving I did today, this is actually above average.
No, I'm very impressed by it.
It could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
Great to be with you, David.